Over the last couple of years, corporate America made this massive, bold promise to Wall Street, right? Fire the humans, plug in AI, and just watch those profit margins skyrocket. Literally every Fortune 500 CEO was talking about it. The story was everywhere. Automation was supposed to do the work cheaper, faster, and 24/7 without taking a single sick day. But, as we're going to see in today's explainer, short-term corporate hype rarely survives actual day-to-day operations. So, welcome to the Great AI Hangover. Okay, let's just dive right in. Fast forward to today, and these corporate leaders are dealing with a multi-billion-dollar headache. Analysts are actually calling this sudden reversal the AI boomerang. And if we look at recent studies from Forrester and Robert Half, the numbers are absolutely wild. Over 55% of executives are now openly admitting they regret their AI-driven layoffs. But here's the really crazy part. Nearly 1/3 of the companies that eagerly slashed their staff have quietly started rehiring for those exact same roles. Why? Well, it turns out that while replacing a worker with an algorithm is super easy, replacing human judgment, institutional memory, and just basic operational context, that is nearly impossible. Which brings us to Section 1, the 60-40 reality gap. To really grasp why these massive companies are suddenly backpedaling and scrambling to hire people back, we need to look under the hood at how AI actually functions in a real office setting. It all comes down to a 60-40 split. See, AI models are actually fantastic at about 60% of standard, predictable corporate work. We're talking drafting routine emails, summarizing spreadsheets, sorting support tickets, stuff like that. But then there's that remaining 40%. That's your messy edge cases, nuanced client relationship management, unwritten company knowledge, and absolutely crucial quality control. When executives cut their headcount down to zero in these departments, that 40% of the work didn't just magically vanish. It completely collapsed because there was literally no one left to manage it. Let's ground this in some real-world disasters that cost companies dearly. Take Ford Motor Company, for example. They spent 3 whole years trying to automate core engineering processes, essentially swapping out experienced personnel for automated tools. The result? The software just couldn't replicate decades of undocumented, hands-on engineering intuition. And they ended up with the absolute worst recall record in the entire automotive industry. Ouch. Meanwhile, McDonald's had to completely scrap their highly publicized AI drive-thru tests. Why? Because the ordering bots were confidently adding hundreds of dollars worth of unwanted chicken nuggets to incredibly simple customer orders. No way you can keep that running. And over in the financial sector, giants like Klarna and Commonwealth Bank of Australia automated their customer service, only to hit massive roadblocks. Their AI was literally hallucinating non-existent company policies, which obviously led to a huge dive in customer satisfaction. When AI hallucinates or misinterprets complex data, it doesn't just make a quirky little mistake. It risks multi-million-dollar regulatory fines and absolutely destroys customer relationships. So how do you even clean up a mess like that? Let's look back at Ford's fix. To stop the bleeding and patch up those deeply flawed automated processes, Ford had to quietly rehire and promote over 350 veteran engineers. They desperately needed to bring back those decades of hands-on intuition, just to cover the blind spots that the algorithms completely missed. Basically, they learned the hard way that human intuition isn't just some nice-to-have luxury. It's an absolute structural necessity. Moving on to Section 2, the hidden cost trap. But the operational failures were really just the tip of the iceberg. As companies tried to automate everything in sight, they slammed into a massive budgetary wall that practically nobody in the C-suite saw coming. Executives went into this whole AI revolution assuming it was a simple one-and-done software purchase. They looked at the predictable, fixed cost of a human salary and thought, great, we can just delete that line item entirely. But the reality is so much darker. Running multi-agent AI systems, fine-tuning custom models, paying continuous API token fees, and building out enterprise security pipelines, that stuff scales exponentially. Oh, and you still have to pay human teams just to audit the AI's output. What was initially sold as cheap automation rapidly mutated into this highly volatile, endlessly scaling operational expense that often ended up dwarfing the original payroll. And this isn't just some theory. Listen to Brian Catanzaro, the VP of Applied Deep Learning at NVIDIA. Keep in mind, this is the very company building the hardware that powers this entire AI boom. He stated bluntly, "For my team, the cost of compute is far beyond the cost of the employees." Wow. When one of the leading executives in the AI hardware space flat out admits that computing costs easily outpace human salaries, every CFO in the world needs to be paying very close attention.
Because of these staggering hidden costs and those massive operational gaps we talked about, the premier tech research firm Gartner has issued a really bold prediction. They say that by 2027, fully 50% of companies that cut operational roles citing AI will be forced to restaff those exact positions. Now, they won't always use the old job titles. You're going to see these returning workers disguised under fancy new titles like AI quality auditors, workflow integrators, or operations managers. But make no mistake about it, it is the exact same human oversight being desperately bought back. Let's look at Section 3, the return premium. And this brings us to the most dramatic irony of this whole corporate saga. Bringing that essential human intelligence back into the building, it is going to cost corporations significantly more than if they had just kept their people in the first place. These former employees are not coming back to their old desks out of the goodness of their hearts. They are coming back at a massive premium, specifically a 20 to 35% increase over their old salaries. Because these companies lost so much institutional knowledge during that initial reckless wave of layoffs, that specific talent is now incredibly scarce and highly in demand. Let's see how this actually translates into real numbers for the workforce. A standard previous base salary for these operational roles hovered right around $55,000. But today, a rehired hybrid worker easily commands $85,000 or more. The key driver here is that the market now absolutely demands a worker who possesses both deep domain expertise and the capability to audit these AI systems. You're no longer just doing the work. You are managing the machine that's doing the work, and that commands a much, much higher market value. Thankfully, a few companies actually got this right from the very beginning, and they've created a totally new hybrid blueprint for success. Take Ikea, for instance. Instead of firing thousands of customer support workers when they brought in AI bots, Ikea retrained those exact same employees to become interior design consultants. By elevating their humans instead of firing them, Ikea unlocked hundreds of millions in new direct sales revenue. It's absolutely brilliant. Similarly, massive players like Amazon Web Services are aggressively growing their overall headcount right alongside their multi-billion-dollar AI investments. AWS has explicitly stated that developer tools make their employees more valuable, not obsolete. They are actively reshaping their workforce, not eliminating it. Which leads us to our final part, Section 4, the new hybrid workforce. So what does this massive macroeconomic trend actually mean for you? How do you apply the lessons of this AI boomerang to your own life and your career trajectory? Well, here's how you need to position yourself moving forward. First, understand that AI is undeniably powerful for sure, but it is not autonomous. It requires governance. Second, recognize that human judgment, complex problem solving, and relationship management are now the absolute premium skills in the market. The most valuable employee today isn't the person who stubbornly resists AI, but it's also not the AI tool itself. It's the human who possesses deep enough industry expertise to catch the machine when it gets things wrong. So don't just learn how to type prompts into AI tools, focus deeply on building the actual domain expertise required to govern and correct those tools. It is an incredibly fascinating time to be watching corporate strategy unfold like this. The whole rush to automate everything has basically proven that human context is the ultimate competitive advantage. So I want to pass the question over to you to wrap up this explainer. Has your company experienced the AI boomerang it? Have you seen roles eliminated only to be quietly brought back when the systems failed? It's a trend that's literally reshaping the modern workplace as we speak. Keep learning, keep building that deep expertise, and we will see you in the next explainer.